All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the viewers and listeners. Welcome to this interview, to this conversation with Kamau Ayubbi. Kamau, welcome. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Pierre-Etienne. I'm a mind-body practitioner. I teach people mind-body practices to help them self-regulate, to help them manage stress and promote healing. I'm also the co-founder of the Healing Studio Online. And the Healing Studio Online is an online platform that was created recently to promote connection as medicine. We believe in people's innate ability to heal, but we also believe that healing is more likely to happen when we're in community, when we're supported with others. And so today, I'm thrilled, I'm excited, I'm honored to be in conversation with Kamau Ayubbi. Kamau, we will get into your personal journey in a second. You grew up in LA, you're today in Michigan as we speak to you, as I speak to you right now, and you're a chaplain for the University of Michigan Medicine, right? Or the hospital, right? Is that right? So again, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Kamau, what's your personal journey? What's your background? What led you to, we're going to talk about a class you're going to offer, you're offering on the Healing Studio Online. So what's your background? What led you to meditation, to Sufi practices? Who are you, Kamau?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me here and for inviting me to this community. And I really appreciate the fact that you talk about connection as medicine. You know, that's a beautiful summary. Amazing. So my background, I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I'm of like multi-ethnic background. I have African-American roots from the East Coast via the South and in North Carolina, where my grandparents are from. My mother, she's from Los Angeles, but she's of Japanese background. And I grew up with my mother as my father had passed away when I was when I was a couple months old. So I grew up with my mother, and she was definitely, I grew up around a lot of her performing in terms of like rehearsals and developing art and community. And so that's, I would say, like my background growing up, my backdrop was a combination of social transformation and discovery through the means of art, specifically like dance and song that I saw my mom engaged in. So that was like my upbringing, and she really exposed me to a lot of different practices growing up, from Aikido to like yogis and different different modes, different practices. And I just grew up in LA around a lot of different cultures. But I didn't have one specific religious tradition or spiritual tradition that I identified with. But you could say I was exposed to a lot of different traditions. And my father, he was Muslim. He was actually a companion of Malcolm X, and was really involved in New York in sort of that aspect of like this country's history. So I grew up in the West Coast, and I went to college at San Francisco State, and was 17 years old in my exploration stage of being on my own in the Bay Area. And pretty soon I found myself within a year in sort of an emotional, spiritual, psychological kind of crisis. I felt through the experiences that I had, I felt a lot of discomfort, extreme anxiety, sort of, you could say some, I don't know if it's delusional thinking, but how I break it down is like my ego kind of like disintegrated and was exposed to me, and I had to like figure out what that was. So that led me on a quest. Fortunately, I had enough love inside of me to like not lose hope, but to really, really wrestle with this question of what's going on in my existence, my heart, my mind, and how do I find peace again. So that led me to delve into a lot of different readings and practices, from Khalil Gibran, the prophet, to Thich Nhat Hanh, and yoga, Kundalini yoga, different practices and searching, as well as just like running. Like I used to run just to like just get comfort, just to get that breath going.
Mhm.
So and uh, what eventually really happened, and I might not be going in exact order, but I had like a spiritual experience where just over a phone call in my dorm room, my girlfriend at that time, long distance girlfriend, was like, "You don't have faith." And I was like, because I was complaining, about my condition. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So I hung up the phone, and like I had this sort of epiphany where like faith entered my heart. And it wasn't attached to any particular religious tradition, but it was just this, like these lights were clicked on in my system and through my heart, through my soul. Like these lights were clicked on, and like everything just sort of like, wow, I feel good right now. And like, wow, God is good. So that led me on that was like the first quote kiss, of like
Yeah.
conscious contact. And I believed in a supreme being, but it was like, wow, what is this? So it led me to really, as some symptoms started to creep back in, it led me to be like, okay, how do I keep repeating this process of, as you said, connectivity, connection? And so that became my occupation while I was in college. I'm in the backdrop of like going through classes, but I'm like internally trying to figure out, how do I keep and maintain connection? Oh, when I do this, my connection drops. When I do this, my
Mhm.
connection increases. And I did a lot to keep disconnecting, but which meant I had to do a lot to keep sort of revisiting connection as much as I could. So that led me to like seek a path. I was asking for a path, and I had accumulated a lot of different beliefs. I don't know if our connection's okay, but I
Good.
accumulated sort of my sort of internal theology of like, oh, this is what I believe, and but I was still looking for a connection, that like a lifestyle that I could like maintain that state of connection as much as possible.
Mm.
And my parents were very my stepdad actually taught me how to meditate. He taught me transcendental meditation, um and might be blocked. He taught me transcendental meditation, and I practiced that for a while. And he was a Tai Chi person. My like I said, I was exposed to Kundalini yoga
Mhm.
and all these things. And so like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do all of it. I'm gonna do it all. And
Yeah.
then like a couple months later, like I became Muslim. And like, but I was really, really interested in Sufism as an entry to Islam, because what I found among the Sufis is they're talking about this soul. They're talking about this internal mental spiritual life, and those states of being, states of consciousness. And I was like, man, that's, this is what I want. So long story short, I sort of had this conversion experience, and sort of I didn't find a whole lot of Sufis, but I did find some along the way, and I kept spending time with them and sort of circling back to different Sufi groups. And finally got to the point where it's like, I need a teacher. Like I need to find some kind of spiritual lineage that I can connect with. And that happened pretty quickly. After that searching happened, I went and found, like, I connected with this Sufi teacher. I didn't know it was going to be my teacher, but an experience happened that just sort of like broke me open even further. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, and the foundation was just love and respect. Like that was the foundation of the connection, right? It was a deep, deep, deep connection of love and respect beyond what I could generate myself. Like, sure, I had love in my heart, I had respect in my heart, but this was like electrifying love, electrifying respect. And that kind of began my Sufi journey.
That
And
that's
yeah, it led me to.
that
Mhm.
I just want to say, I feel it in my heart when you talk about that opening, when you talk about how you felt that touch, that awakening, and then you pursued that journey. That's just amazing. And here, just to say that we actually met the first time was, correct me if I'm wrong, was in Michigan, right, in a uh, Sufi farm or Sufi center. And I remember our long
Mhm.
conversations around healing and meditation and nervous system regulation. And
Mhm.
and I guess my question here for our viewers and listeners is, what is Sufism? And that could, I know that could be like a 3 hour, like or
Yeah.
3 years, training program here, but just how do you, what is the essence when you talk about Sufism, when we talk about Sufi practices, what's the essence in your view?
Mhm. Wow. I think the essence is, well, again, I said the foundation was this profound love and respect. And that is a very heartfelt reality, right? Love is something that comes through the heart, and respect is like honor or deep appreciation and honor. And that's also, I think, beyond just sort of the mental faculties of, yeah, I honor you in my mind, to where like I truly feel that like connection of love and honor. And I think Sufism is going to promote the point and goal of Sufi practices is to keep bringing you again into that water of love, that water of life, that water of respect. And so all the disciplines and practices, the goal is that. And in the midst of getting to water, you're gonna probably you're gonna be getting through some dust or some soot or different things and blockages that come along, you know. And so a Sufi teacher would help you sort of navigate that and figure out, okay, where did I inherit these things? And again, getting your own awareness of how that connection increases, how that connection decreases, and that becomes like the sort of effort over your lifetime, and building that into your quote nervous system, building that into your um, characteristics of your body and your mind and spirit, how they express themselves.
Mm. The word that comes back in my mind as you speak is cleansing and purification of the heart, right? This is,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that constant, oop, I'm in the right path. Oh, I'm in the right path. Wrong path, right path. Wrong path, right path. And that constant like trying. And the other word that comes to mind, which is also in the title of your upcoming class, which
Mm.
maybe we can talk about here, which is
Yeah.
the kindergarten of Sufi remembrance
Yes.
and meditation. And that word that you mentioned earlier, remembrance,
Uh-huh.
also sounds, very true and deep. Like the work of remembering, of maintaining that connection,
Yes.
realizing that there will be so many distractions, both
Mm.
internal and external, that will get in the way, but can also be seen as opportunities for us to strengthen this muscle
Mm.
of connection, right? And so, could you tell us more about the class that's coming up when we talk about kindergarten of Sufi remembrance and meditation?
Yeah.
That you mentioned, I remember you just give me a couple of sentences, right? Connecting with your own relationship to universal principles of healing through the
Mm.
frameworks and practices of transmitted by the Sufis. And I remember asking you, I was like, hey, you want to send me a little bit more? And you were like, no, we good. And I was like, okay, cool. So what
Uh-huh.
if it's the first time I hear about you, if it's the
Yeah.
first time I hear about the Sufis, or have heard about the Sufis in popular
Yeah. Yeah.
culture, what are we what can I expect if I was to sign up for your class? What kind of
Yeah.
what are we talking about? What are we going to do?
Well, I think of the first time, and I'm really glad to like hear your sort of theme behind your studio is this idea of my hope initially is that the class sets a foundation like of I would say an internal sense of one's connection to the principle of compassion. And so like in the Islamic tradition, we have this Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which is a phrase, it's a remembrance that invokes the most beautiful attributes of the creator, the most beautiful attributes that permeate the universe and our bodies and our minds and existence, right? And so those names are like reference points, like when we talk about universal principles. So compassion is a universe, it's a principle that you'll find among, it's this principle that just keeps on giving. You can contemplate it and it just keeps on giving. It's like, okay, what does compassion mean? In what context? You know, in the context of your body, in the context of your breath, in the concept of your friendships
Mm.
or connections that you have with loved ones, people who truly deeply understand and love you, and you feel this like deep bond. So the idea is, even though it may be, quote, people that we've never met coming together, to establish that, hey, when we're in this circle together, we're going to be rooted in our own and collective experience of compassion. That sets sort of like a, that's the garden, right? That is like the, we talk about the kinder garden. It's like being in a space where, yeah, in a garden, you're working through things. You're working through weeds or this and that, but you're also like looking at beautiful seeds. You're looking at, growth cycles and like sun and water and soil, and you're involved in this like very enriched environment. So that's where like the foundation of that community being a way to set the tone for reflecting on these principles and practices that allow us to remember through the body, through the heart, to, and this is the important thing, is like, let's get into the layers of the heart. Let's get into an understanding of our own hearts, and that the Sufis have mapped out layers of the heart for us to at least contemplate, to consider, what is the heart? Okay, physically, what is the heart? Energetically, what is the heart? Emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, even, what is the heart? What can the heart pick up on? And that consciousness that runs through the heart. So these are, I like the word kindergarten, because in a way, like, our teachers have always talked about very like profound, universal realities, but like in a simple and beautiful way, like through letters, like through numbers and through colors, right? So what are the symbols in letters that relate to our heart? What are the symbols? How do you go from the form into the different meanings and experience that in your own heart and in your connection, your friendships, your relationships? Um, so I know that might sound a little bit general, but the point of remembrance is to raise one's personal and collective consciousness of what perhaps compassion is, of what loving familiarity is, of what wisdom is, of what healing might be at a particular time. And of course, that's going to start with your relationship to this beautiful vehicle of abyss of potential, you could say, this being.
Mm.
Each person has their own
Um,
sort of set of how to engage that
Apologies in
state of
advance
being, the
for
body.
right for the potentially ignorant question. I just want to clarify here. Do people have to follow any particular tradition to sign up for the class?
We have a
Oh,
little lapse here.
we have a little lapse here. Let's do that again. Do people have to
Okay, there we go.
follow any particular tradition? Um, do they have to be Sufis? Do they have to be Muslim? Do they have anything to be anything in particular to join your class?
I would say the basic thing is just to be, no, they don't have to be anything. The basic thing is just, do you bring like a compassionate curiosity to the situation? What is it that you hope to learn? That's the most important thing, is having a sense of intention, that if the outline or the description resonates with you, that's just what it's going to be. It's like, we're trying to connect with these principles of healing, and these are the means and methods, and they're available to anyone who's open to them. But it definitely does, just understanding that I'm not coming about all this like, oh, I made up this system. This is something that's been transmitted for 1400 years, that happens to come through a particular lineage. So we have respect for that lineage, and we have respect for multiple lineages and means of transmission. It's just that the Sufi masters or the Sufi teachers have left us not only like maps of consciousness, but also, you could say, it's like technical support and sensibility about
Right.
what are these things. And so we're gonna let people experience that as they do, and that's why having a compassionate space, it allows us to explore that together in community,
Mm. All
from
right.
whatever background.
Beautiful, beautiful. So is there anything else we want to discuss, anything else we want to mention? Well, I think we'll have another conversation. I have so many questions here, but just for today we're going to leave it there. Anything else we'd like to mention about the upcoming class? Any message to the people who are like, shall I come, shall I join, or what?
I think, you have to follow your heart. You have to discern, where are you in your journey right now? Are you looking for more tools that may be rooted in another tradition, but it's just like, let me examine how these principles, maybe you've heard of Sufis, maybe you've heard of Rumi, maybe you've heard of, these Sufi teachers, or these uh, these whirling dervishes or whatnot. And what is it about your heart that's attracted to know more about that? And if you're coming from a place of internal discernment and heart and openness, then you're so welcome. Like, please do come.
Kamau, thank you so much for being here today. Would you, if we want to learn more, so I'll put the link for people to sign up for your class. We'll have a series of classes that is coming up. We'll mention all of that in the description. If people want to learn more, I know you're also a meditation mentor and teacher. Could you let us know where people can find you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Kamau Ayubbi. Okay, and also my meditation mentor is my, like, I guess they call it a handle. And it's like full time. I work in the hospital system. I do spiritual care, but I enjoy doing these classes because I deal with a lot of illness and sickness, and that's wonderful too. But it's also like, okay, how can we get into different arenas where we're a little bit more proactive about working with the idea of, quote, dis-ease, and being a conscious participant in healing. So I put a lot of little quotes or like reflections on my pages, and hopefully it's you know helpful for people who check in there too.
A conscious participant in healing,
Mhm.
that resonates deeply with me. That resonates deeply with my message. As you know, a lot of the people I work with are dealing with cancer diagnosis and other
Mhm.
health issues, and the goal is very much for them to acquire the tools they need to promote that innate ability to heal. So here, anybody's watching, I want to say, check out this class, join us for the next upcoming class. Um, thank you very much, Kamau. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
See you on the
Thanks
other
for having
side.
me.
Salam.
All right.
Peace. Bye.
Peace.